Indian economy. Like we have studied different sectors of economy, primary, secondary, and tertiary, and how they impact, how primary, secondary, and tertiary impact uh, each other, and how they are related. Why India is agriculture dominant nation, and what impact it will have after we are having a primary oriented company, or why we are not able to go for a secondary based economy. What is its colonial impact, like colonial impact in the sense when Britisher came to India, like we have discussed, a contribution of India towards the world GDP was 24%. Okay, this was a chapter given in Economic Survey 2019, a first chapter. Okay, so that time our economic contribution towards GDP was 24%, and China's was 25%. Okay, just imagine what was the condition of India, what was the economic status of India when we used to contribute 24% towards the world economy. Okay, but like that's why India is always called as a Sone ki Chiriya. Okay, we had a huge industrial base. There was very few things which India needed to import. Like most of the things we used to export. That's why our economy was very flourishing that time. Okay, Britisher came to India. They are like there are many Western people came to India, and they have realized there are a lot of things to take from India, but there are very few things which we can actually export to India, or we can go for a barter exchange. Okay, so they have to give a gold and other metals. So that's why they realize, can we go for a colonial development here? Okay, not only a control for trade, but can we also control politically to India? So that's how they started going for a colonial rule in India. And after they started ruling India, what they did, the first thing what they did is they deindustrialized India. Deindustrialized India means whatever economic base we had, whatever manufacturing we had, whatever industry we had, they first destroyed it. And why they destroyed it? Obviously, if India have its own industry, or if they are in a condition to occupy, or they are in a condition to absorb whatever raw material we are getting from our primary industry, then obviously we will not going to export anything to UK. And UK was looking, or England that time, England was looking for a raw material from India. Okay, that too at a cheap price. That's why Indigo Revolt, and there were many like forceful jobs which UK or England has forced on India, because they required for their raw material, for their industry. So initially it was the first thing they did to destroy India's manufacturing industry, or deindustrialize. Obviously, since we had a deindustrialization, what they did, they took all the raw material from primary industry to England, and from there they converted that raw material into a finished product, and then they sold that finished product to India only. Okay, so taking raw material at a lower price, processing it, and then selling it at a higher price to India. Okay, that's why we said that there is a high linkage between primary, secondary, and tertiary industry. Okay, if India has a very strong manufacturing industry, okay, for example, rather than selling a tomato, if we tomorrow start selling tomato ketchup, okay, that is a value addition. Like this is what we MBA guys are known for, that we add value to everything. Maybe there are many people who can do a same job, but since we are specialized into it, we add value to it. Okay, rather than just directly selling, maybe we go for online shopping, or maybe we add some value, so that there will be a more buyer for our product. This is our job, to add value to product, to ensure there will be more buyer, there will be more consumer satisfaction. Okay, there will be more addition at every stage. Okay, this is what VAS, or value addition system. We add value at every moment. Okay, we add value at every moment. That's why ultimately, when products convert into a consumable product, it increases its value. So this is how primary and secondary industry are related. So that's why India is now trying for developing a secondary industry. That's why we have Make in India program, okay, a FAME program, whatever program I'm suggesting you, like make sure you write it on a diary, and you do watch, or you search it on a Google engine. What is Make in India program? How it is going to help Indian secondary industry, and why we have to develop India's secondary industry. Okay, or how secondary industry is going to help to develop primary industry, or for giving a better returns to our farmers. Okay, so if secondary industry growth, there is something called external economics. External economics in the sense maybe two economies or two industries are not directly related, but they're indirectly related, and they do have impact of each other's activity. Like suppose tomorrow manufacturing industry grows well, we have we invest a lot of money in manufacturing industry. Obviously, they require raw material. Okay, there are four primary factors which we have discussed. There are four factors of production. One is land. Land is again natural resources, whatever natural resources you require, and that all you will get from primary industry. Labor, any of we are very very strong with the labor force. With capital, maybe we are comparatively short at capital, but it's okay. That's why we are developing secondary industry. Or we are developing a secondary industry means what? We are developing our capital. Capital is not money. It is about equipment, machinery, technology, IPR policy. Everything comes into capital. And fourth is entrepreneur skills. Okay, those skill development program. Okay, Stand Up India, Startup India. These are what? These are the programs which are going to develop our entrepreneur skills. Okay, like our prime minister also said, we don't want youngsters who will be job seeker. Rather, we will make them a job creator, okay, job giver. So go for your own manufacturing, go for your own industry, start your own entrepreneur programs. Okay, and then utilize whatever primary resources we have, whatever assets we have, like we have a labor force. So start labor intensive industries, utilize our resources, and that's why for investment we are going to different nation, and we are convincing them for bringing FDI and FII. We have already discussed what is FDI and what is FII, foreign direct investment and foreign indirect investment. Okay, and once like we are already doing very well at the service industry. Okay, around 60%, 60 to 65% of contribution to our GDP is coming from service industry. Okay, where we are stagnant and primary and secondary industry. And second benefit of developing secondary industries, okay, there is something called disguised unemployment. Okay, disguised unemployment. Disguised unemployment means suppose there is a kirana shop, a provision store. There is a provision store, and two brothers are working there. Okay, and every month maybe they are making 50,000 rupees. Okay, and third brother joins there, and maybe after completing the month, they have calculated their income was same, that is 50,000 rupees. Okay, but if you look at from externally, what do you think? There are three brothers who are working there, and then all three are employed. But ultimately, the third person who recently joined, his marginal productivity is zero. That means his presence added zero profit to that organization. So that is disguised unemployment. And in India, like we are having still we are having around 50% of employment that is directly dependent on primary industry. So, and we know that land, that is a natural resource, that is a minimum, or that is a short, or that is a fixed limit. Okay, we cannot grow land or natural resource tremendously. So obviously, where we can grow manufacturing and service, where we can accommodate our increasing population or the new employment. Like every year, government needs to create 12 lakh new employment, because this is a this is a force which is entering into economic activity every year. Okay, maybe like those who are completing graduation or those who are there after retirement, like there are many who are getting retirement. But if we calculate how many people are getting retired and how many people are entering the market, in that calculation, every year 12 lakh new people are adding to workforce. So we have to develop a manufacturing industry. We have to bring people from primary industry to secondary industry. Most of the people, those who are not adding any value to that activity, okay, that is disguised unemployment. So these are some of the benefits. These are some of the linkages which we must understand when we talk about Indian economy. Now, second question is why we need to understand primary, secondary, and the service industry. Why we need to understand primary, secondary, and tertiary industry. Being an MBA student, obviously you are a part of society, and you are going to like you are going to compete with the local businesses. We are going to operate your business in local environment. So you must understand where you are entering, where like what kind of business you are going to do, what impact it will have on a primary, secondary, and tertiary. May not be from a nation perspective, but from your own perspective. Suppose you have a minimum income, or maybe you are looking for employment, and you have all three choices that you can go for a primary industry, secondary industry, tertiary industry. So where you want to go, and what basis you will decide which one is better for you. Maybe a manufacturing industry at initially providing you highest salary. Consider, you got the opportunity from all three segments, but secondary industry providing you highest salary, when you're joining. But what about a prospect, a future prospect? So based on different data, you will understand. Okay, if I enter into service industry, there is only 14 to 15% employment, but the GDP contribution is 60 to 65%. That means every person is getting a chance to make 3 rupees, okay, or 2.5 rupees. But if I enter into manufacturing, maybe there is a 25% of employment and 25% of GDP contribution. That means every person has, you know, a chance to make 1 rupees. But if I enter into primary industry, okay, why agriculture is always considered as a lowest profit making industry, or why it is not a sustainable, or why government is trying to make a sustainable industry? Because primary industry, or that is agriculture or raw material creation, that is contributing around 15 to 17% to GDP contribution, but almost 50% population is dependent on that. And that too, going ahead, there is a marginalization of that. Like, you know, uh, uh, what we call it. Like, there are, like, suppose Dadaji has, or grandfather had a 10 acre of land. Then he's giving 5 acre land to each son. Like maybe he's having two sons. Then again, this will have a two sons. So they will divide that land into 2.5, 2.5 acres. So this is how this is called a fragmentation of land. Okay, so every time land is getting divided and it is becoming unsustainable. Like somebody who is having a 1 acre of land, okay, maybe he will not be able to use the transportation, maybe he will not be able to buy equipment, maybe he will not be able to sell his product to district level or taluka level. He have to sell at a local level because there is a minimum production. So this is how it is becoming, going ahead. It is becoming a non-sustainable business, and that's why government is trying. Can we, like, definitely we cannot do without primary industry. Definitely we have to develop primary industry. But what government is trying, that can we bring some of the employees which are not adding any value to primary industry? Can we bring them and can we shift them to other jobs like manufacturing and service industry? Okay, again we are not talking about making them a white collar, making them managers, but at least can we give them a regular employment in the manufacturing sector or service sector, so that the pressure on primary industry will reduce. So there will be only one brother who will be dependent on agriculture. The remaining two brothers will be the manufacturing service industry. Going ahead, if all three brothers are they're dependent on primary industry, then obviously nobody will be able to make a better standard for them. And they will get into that vicious cycle or low economic trap or debt trap. Since nobody is making a good amount of surplus, they will not be able to give a better education to their children. They will not be able to spend a good amount of money for their health activities, or for better nutritional food. And obviously they will fall more sick. There will be lesser human days. Their children will not get a better education. Since they don't have better education, they will not get a better employment. Since they will not get a better employment, they will also continue to be in that vicious cycle. Okay, that's why we have to pull out some of the people who are not adding much value to primary industry and shift them to secondary and tertiary industry. At the same time, make primary industry a value added system, or go for a food processing kind of thing, or go for adding a value in a primary industry rather than selling a directly tomato to some manufacturer or somebody. Sell them tomato ketchup. Okay, that's why government has started many like cluster approach. You can write down about a cluster approach. What is cluster approach, or how we are implementing cluster approach in food processing. Okay, that will give you an idea. Like maybe every farmer is not capable to have equipment or to start a manufacturing industry or food processing industry. But yes, government can start, or some youth who are like-minded or who are interested, into agriculture industry, but they want to develop themselves, or they want to come with some new technology. So what they can do, they can go for a cluster approach. Maybe there are 20, 30 villages around your locality. Take a central point. Take a central point. Start your business in that central point. Start your business in that central point. Convince, or make sure that around people who are around you, okay, they come to you. They come to you, and they will sell. They will sell their raw material to you, or you will have a contract, some kind of contract, that I will give you all the inputs, like whatever seed you require, pesticides you require, or irrigation equipment you require, whatever you require, I will give you that. I will give you that inputs. The moment you process your activity, and when you have tomato or whatever product you are having, you can sell only to me. Okay, so there is a fixed price, or it is called MSME, MSP, minimum support pricing, which government announces, but government face lot of loss by announcing MSP. But if it is arranged in a local level, and if it is based on a market requirement, rather than deciding it by a government, if it is decided by a market, then obviously there will be more demand. There will be more demand. We can have a better export. We can have better quality, since private or corporate companies are specific about their quality. Like PepsiCo's, you must have heard about a case study of PepsiCo's potato chips. Okay, in a Gujarat. Okay, they are very particular. They are very particular about the kind of potatoes they want. Okay, so they have everything ready with them. Their seeds, their pesticides, their water requirement, everything, like whatever you require, chemical you require, they are ready with everything, and they give everything to farmer. You just have to process it. Okay, because we have one factor of production, that is land. Okay, and labor. So you have to use these two factor of production in your agriculture land. Remaining capital and entrepreneur skills, that we will look after. Okay. So rather than selling a direct potato into market, if you are selling potato chips, then obviously you will get a better benefit. Maybe farmer is not directly selling potato chips, but as we discussed about external economics, they both are into different industries. One is selling FMCG products and one is into a primary industry. But since secondary industry, or those who are selling directly potatoes, they are getting a better profit. Since they're getting a better profit, they will get a better investment. Since they have a better profit surplus income, they will invest into primary industry. Because if they invest into primary industry, then only they are going to get a cheap potatoes, or maybe they are going to get a better quality potatoes, or maybe they are going to get a desired quantity of potatoes. So obviously, if they will invest in a primary industry, farmer don't have to input, or don't have to put anything into input cost, and that is a major reason for farmer suicide. Because of green revolution, because of land degradation, now farmer has to spend lot of money on pesticides, chemicals, or costly seeds. But if farmer don't have to invest anything, and what he is getting is a sheer profit. Okay, maybe that is not equivalent to what manufacturers are getting, or the MNC companies are getting, but at least they are saving some money by not investing into input, or they are having a lesser risk. They are having a lesser risk, market risk, as well as crop failure risk, or monsoon failure risk, because they don't have anything to lose, because they have not put anything into input cost. So this is how government is planning to introduce a sectoral linkage, and to introduce a better prospect for India, because most of the 50% of the population is based on primary industry. At the same time, we are not dependent only on a cropping. We are also going for horticulture, like fruits. Okay, exporting fruits. Okay, flowers, like exporting flowers to different nations. Okay, so this is how, like, making it a tourism. Okay, that this flowering industry, they are trying to develop into a tourism activity. Okay, then we are adding allied activities. So it's goat farming, fish farming. Okay, so government providing a loan, government providing a subsidies in the sense, suppose you are taking a loan of 100 rupees, and there is suppose 30 rupees subsidy. So you just have to repay 70 rupees. 30 rupees government will repay, like, on your behalf, because this is something, these are the industries which government also want to promote. Because they are not only going to promote primary industry, but that will going to lead into a better export. Okay, their nation also has a benefit. These are the labor intensive industries. Okay, they are able to create a jobs by promoting particular industry. So whenever government thinks these are the industry which we need to promote, or we want to promote, what government do? Government gives some kind of subsidy, or interest subvention. Interest subvention is another program, like government, suppose there is a 8% of interest rate on which you have taken a loan. So government will pay 2% of loan. So you have to interest. So you have to pay only 6% interest. Government will pay another 2% interest. So this is interest intervention scheme, subvention scheme, interest subvention scheme. Okay, the mining activity. So through different activities like mining, now recently, like, the mining proposal, government has allowed most of the private players to enter into a mining activity or bidding activity. Okay, and initially it was planned once in a year, like, having a bidding. That was a once in a year, government used to announce bidding. But now, if you are ready, if you think like this is a place I want to mine, and I think this place is going to give me a better return, you can call, or you can announce for bidding anytime in the year. Okay, now initially it was a profit based, or like sharing a profit between government and a private entity, but now it has become a revenue based. Okay, so what government is trying, like maybe like companies will show a lot of expenses against their revenue, and ultimately they will show lesser profit. But now government is trying to go it on a revenue base, so they are moving ahead with a lot of aggressive policies. Okay, lot of aggressive policies to ensure our primary industry, our food giver, okay, should have a better economic prospect, okay, a better condition. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, soil testing, okay, and Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. There are many things, like every farmer is getting 2,000 rupees or something per acre, okay, and there is some limit on it. I don't know what is that limit, maybe 2 acre or something. But every farmer is getting a support from a government to ensure, like, and I'm not talking about a particular government. Every time, like right from 1950 to till date, India's concentration or India's policies were diverted towards primary industry. So this is also India's economic policy, or different economic theories which we have used. Instead of, there is always a confusion between sectors where we want to invest, whether we want to go for economic activity, or we want to go for infrastructure development. Okay, whether we want to invest into manufacturing industry or primary industry, socialist policy or capitalist policy. So we always achieved a Gautam Buddha's middle path. Okay, we have invested same time into manufacturing industry, and we have also invested into primary industry. We have applied socialistic policies where we have given a support to those industry, or those people who are into the, like, primary industry, always in a loss, or most of the time they are not making a surplus income. So obviously government has tried to give some kind of input or some kind of help to those who are not able to make themselves their bread and butter. At the same time, to promote economic activity, we have promoted a free trade or laissez-faire, Adam Smith's theory. Okay, laissez-faire into a business activity, that is a capitalist policy. So we have adopted a mixed economic policy, something we have borrowed from Russia, something from US, and we have created our own. Even our socialism is different from Russia's socialism. We have adopted a Gandhian socialism, okay, which is to large extent different from Russia's free trade. Even in terms of like, directly taking capitalist policy from US, we have adopted our own capitalist policy. Okay, where we have certain restrictions. It is not a complete free economy. There are certain areas where still government has a reservation. Okay, where nobody can operate, like nuclear policy, railway industry. Even steel was there, but now it is open. Or slowly, even today we are slowly opening up our economy. Like there are many sectors where still that FDI is not allowed, or FDI is not allowed for 100%. Or there is certain restriction, like 49% of FDI is allowed, 75% of FDI is allowed. So there are certain things which we have adopted from foreign nations, but we have changed them according to our need, our customized policies we have adopted. Okay, there is nothing much to talk about the service industry, because service industry India is doing very well. Like India's software industry is doing very well. Our retail shops is doing very well. There are many online platforms which are, like, after pandemic, they have received a good impetus. Zomato and all their service for industries, banking industry is doing well. So maybe there is a lot of NPS in the banking industry, but over a period of time, definitely government has tried, and we have come with the different policies to ensure that, like coming out of Chakravyuh, there are different committees which government has set up to ensure, like, we will overcome with NP. And definitely NP is non-productive assets. Okay, so non-productive assets are those assets. Suppose you are taking a loan of 100 rupees, okay, or maybe you are paying me 7 rupees, 8 rupees of interest rate. I'm happy with that, but after some time you are not paying your principal amount too. Okay, not only interest, but you are not also paying your my principal amount. So obviously, suppose you have paid me 90 rupees, but after 90 paying 90 rupees, you are not paying me last 10 rupees. So that is my NPA. Okay. So in this case, government's NPA was around 15 rupees, or around 15% of the assets, or around 15% of the loan which banks have given. They were not able to recover that. But now that came down to 11.5 or 10%, and most of the time it is into public sector banks, but private sector banks are comparatively better position in terms of NPA. Retail shops government is providing, like we have opened up our economy, like Apple is trying from last so many years to establish their manufacturing plant into India, or starting their retail shops into India. separate outlet. But government has said, okay, there are certain conditions. If you want to start a retail shop in India, or there are separate retail chain, what you have to do, you have to buy raw material from India, like whatever you manufacture, you have to buy X percent, like 66% of raw material from India. You should have at least 50-60% of employees. Like that is not a particular number, but I think this is somewhere close by, where you have to have 50 to 60% of employees from local employees only. You cannot bring your employees from your country. So what ultimately government is promoting, you come and do business, but like, ensure that the benefit or the profits you make, some of the profit percolate to our local people. Okay, or some benefits our local people should also get. But now government has relaxed this policy and they said, okay, if you say like India doesn't have that skills which we are looking, or the kind of employment we are looking, we don't have that employment, or the kind or quality of raw material we require, even we don't have that raw material in Indian market. So what we can do? Okay, so government has said, okay, come here, start your business, do your business for next 3 years. But after 3 years, we have to ensure you skill our people so that you will have a manpower from a local level only. Make sure you try to get raw material from Indian only. If you don't have that quality, then create that technology so that you will get a raw material from local people. Okay, so this is how we are developing ourselves as software industry. Software industry we are developing, like making visa norms with different countries. We are ensuring that our visa norms are comparatively in a friendly with the different nations. We are going to different nations, promoting their business friendly environment, having a better relationship with different countries, signing a different MOUs, okay, member of understanding, to ensure countries should not have any issue with having or doing a business with India. Okay, we have ensured ease of doing business. Like India is one of the countries which has achieved fastest growth in terms of ease of doing business. We are in a top 50s now, and target is to reach to a top 10 companies to do business or ease of doing business. Okay, so this is a sector of economy. These are the different sectors which are interrelated, and like some of the efforts which government is doing, and you can find a gap, and you can find your own place into these industries wherever you have an interest. See, again I said, most of the time, like we assume that education is equal to employment, but I suggest, or what I feel, education is about developing your personality. Okay, that is not only about a particular segment. Like if you are into a manufacturing, don't learn only about a manufacturing, but also try to understand the external economics or surrounding economics. That will give you better understanding about your own industry, and you can find a gap. You can start your industry. See, whenever you start a business, start with finding a gap or finding that green field. It is not all recommended to start something which is traditional. If everybody has a retail shop, or everybody is having a provision store from years together, and you will also start another kirana store or provision store, that doesn't make any difference in your life. You will be just another business person, or you will just going for a trading. It is not even actually a business. It is just a trading. You will buy goods from somebody and you will sell it to somebody with some profit into it. So this is not going to utilize your talent, or you are not going to get what you deserve or what you desire. Okay, it will be just making bread and butter or earning your daily needs. That's it. But you develop your personality when you have a knowledge about different segments like government industry, public industry, private industry, or international economy. If you have a comprehensive knowledge, definitely you will be in a better control, or you will be in a better position to understand what is a market requirement and what kind of product we can introduce, or what kind of business we should enter. It is not about the investment, like many of people say, many of our friends say that to start a business you require a huge investment. But that is a false. Like there are many investors. If you have idea, if your idea is really worth, there are many people who are ready to invest in it. Okay, you have like seed capital. Right from a seed capital, you get everything from a government. Okay, you don't have to invest anything from your pocket. Like obviously 80 to 85% of loan you get from banks, and remaining that 15 to 10% of your own funding, that is called a seed capital, you can get from government. Okay, government is there to give you like the Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program, Chief Minister Employment Generation Program. You can get a loan up to 1 crore. Okay, there is for loan for MSME, that is get a loan in 59 minutes. So there are so many programs, there are so many schemes which government is providing. But only thing is awareness. What lacking in market is awareness. The people are not aware like these many facilities are available. But those who are into those who are into that circle where you have an asset thing, where you're understanding about the business, you have understanding about the government policy, you have understanding about what are the programs or what are the features or what are the services which are available in the market for those who are having first two factors. Okay, so you will enter into that green field and you can start your own business. Starting your own business in the sense having a complete knowledge or having a comprehensive knowledge about the business. See, somebody who is employed who will have they will have either a knowledge of logistics, manufacturing, marketing, or IT department. But somebody who is owner, they will have a knowledge about all the departments. Okay, may not be expert of one department, but they are a jack of all departments. So they know at least something about each department. So this is what we try to develop through MBA. Okay, maybe I'm not as good as other people were there who are good at finance or accounting. Maybe I'm not good at IT, but yes, I know how to use IT to promote my business. Okay, so this is what we require. We need to have a knowledge about each segment, each sector, so that we will nobody can fool us. Nobody can fool us. नहीं सर ऐसा होता ही नहीं है. So nobody can fool us. We will know नहीं ऐसा होता है. I know this can happen. Okay, so you should to bring you into a better control of your own activity. What you require a knowledge from each sector. That's why this subject or this particular economics we are giving a lot of emphasis, like lot of emphasis. Even I convinced to management like I know we have a very short period of time, but something where we don't want to compromise or where we don't want to run a slides, and that is economics. Economics is directly related with your life, whether you go for a business, whether you go for employment, or whether you go for anything. Economics has a direct impact because it's not making you just an employee; it is making you a good human being. Understand what is efficiency. How can you add value to whatever activity you are doing? Like irrespective how small it is, maybe, but you are adding activity to it, adding value to it. It can become a big game changer, or it can become a unicorn. Okay. Okay. Now, next chapter or next point we are going to discuss is the population. Okay. So, India's population we know has changed tremendously. Population has a huge role. Definitely, it can be have a population disaster where actually a population leading to poverty, and your population can convert into population demographic dividend. Where because of you have a high population, you are making a big better profits. Okay, so these are two different things. Many a time we have a question or we read a question whether population leads to poverty or poverty leads to population. I will repeat my question because it is something worth brainstorming or worth thinking. Since we have a one-way communication, I can't ask you this question, but you can ask to yourself, what is that you think whether population leads to poverty or higher population leads to poverty or poverty leads to higher population. Okay, again, it is actually interrelated. It is actually interrelated. They both are affecting each other. Okay, how? Since you have like those who are going for an offline video, those who are not live there, I suggest pause and think about it. Write it down on paper. What do you think? Whether population leads to poverty or population poverty leads to poverty? And after you get the answer, then continue with this video. Okay. So population, like suppose there is a higher population. Obviously, higher population, GDP divided by population is equal to your per capita income. So obviously, whatever resources you have, whatever GDP you have created, if there are more number of people to divide their GDP, obviously everybody will get a lesser share. So since everybody get a lesser share, there will be continuous poverty. Okay. So what we are saying, if there is a high population, there will be more people to share whatever GDP growth we have, and that's why there will be many people, or there will be many people who will be under poverty line. Okay, or per capita income of that country will be comparatively lower. Okay, but China has proved that even after having a high population, you can have a better economic condition or you can have a better per capita income. Like China's per capita income is $9,000 China. But the only advantage is, the only positive thing is they have understood how to convert demographic into demographic dividend and not to demographic disaster. Giving skills, okay, ensuring they have like manufacturing skills. So manufacturing skills, now they are exporting throughout the world. Okay, I think I have a given example, but there is a button town in China, and based on that button town, like whatever button that world is having, okay, so 90% of those buttons are made in that one town. That is a button town. So that is a level of specification. Okay, that is a level of specification. They have achieved that economy of scale where nobody can compete with them. They have achieved that level of specification, that level of economy of scale. See, if you get a button order, maybe you will get a button order of 1,000, 2,000, 10,000. But when they are getting order, they are getting order of 80 lakh, 1 crore buttons. So obviously, the kind of huge economy of scale they have, nobody will able to compete with them. And once they get an order of 80,000 or 80,000 buttons or 1 lakh buttons, obviously, they will be able to produce that same good at a much cheaper rate than what somebody can produce who is producing 2,000 buttons or 2,000 buttons. And that's how they will get a better demand, or there is a better order for them, and you will get a lesser order. So they are like, it's a first mover advantage, since they were the first one to enter into a manufacturing industry, or first one to understand the importance of manufacturing or manufacturing exports. Now they are exporting everything to every country. Okay, unlike India, who is mostly exporting to South Asian countries, which are comparatively a low profit making countries. Okay, and your order value, your profit will be comparatively lower. But China is exporting throughout the world, including US, UK, everywhere. Okay, if I talk about like India China trade, okay, around 83 billion, 83 to 84 billion of trade we have between India and China. But 60 to 65% of 64 to 65 billion worth of goods we export, China export to India. Okay, where only 20 billion of goods actually China import from India. Okay, and that too, there are many things like India always say, China doesn't buy from us, China doesn't buy from us. That's why they say, okay, send this good. Like anyhow, we have to buy something from somewhere. So instead of buying from somewhere else, we'll buy from India, because that won't suit the good. Like 84 out of 84 billion of goods, complete 84 billion we are importing from China, and we are not exporting anything to China. So that's why like China has given a chance, and we are exporting 20 billion goods to China. Okay, so China is having a surplus trade with almost all the nations, whereas India has surplus trade with very few nations like US, UAE. There are very few countries with whom we have a surplus trade. Otherwise, most of the time we are importing more. Why we are importing more? Because we have a consumption-based economy. So why we are a consumption-based economy? Because of huge population. Since there is a huge population, there are many hands to consume goods. We will not be able to produce those many goods. So what we have to do? We have to import from other nations. So this is how higher population works as a detrimental. But China has proved. There is a thinker called Thomas Malthus. Okay, Thomas Malthusian. Write down this name. Very, very prominent, very important name in economics. Okay, Thomas Malthusian, demographic, in a demographic sense, is a very important thinker. Thomas Malthusian has said that assets are always going to be limited, or resources are always going to be limited. So you as a population have to use those resources judiciously, so that you will never surplus. Now, you will never surplus, or you will never cross that asset limit, or you will never touch that asset limit. Okay, because environment has a limited capacity to regenerate the resources. But if you consume resources at a higher speed than nature can regenerate itself, then obviously some or other day you will exhaust all the goods which government, or all the goods which nature can give you. Okay, and the moment you surpass that need, automatically there will be positive change, and you will have some mechanism. Based on that, earth will manage or recover its status. Earthquake, flood, corona, these are some of the things. Wherever nature thinks that you are surpassing your limits, or you are not uncontrolled, then obviously nature takes everything into their hand, and nature manages or manipulates the number of population, whatever resources you are consuming, nature takes into action. And if nature takes into action, that particular action is called positive check. So whenever you are going crossing your limit, nature will have a positive check, and again it will bring population to that level, okay, where it is desirable or where it is manageable. So population, higher population is always work as a detrimental. But in case of China, we have understood. Even India has adopted a policy. In fact, China has now cancelled that one-child policy. Now you can have as many children as you want. Okay, China, Japan initially has put a lot of control on population, but now they have realized they are short of manpower, or they have a huge aging population. Okay, their youngsters are not going for a marriage. They are not going for a marriage. They are not going for a children. And whatever workforce they have, they are all like aged people, 60, 65 years. Now they are importing manpower from other nations. So see, those countries who thought that population is a detrimental, they are now facing issue. Okay, they are importing lot of employment or lot of people from other nations. But there are few countries who are always thought that demography or population can be converted into assets, and those are the nations now they are giving, now they are providing employees to throughout the world. Like India, India gets highest remittance from the world. India is the first country, or India is the topmost country which gets highest remittance from the world. Okay, because our diaspora or our people are working in every country, whichever country you go, you will find Indians there. Okay, you will find one dhaba there. Okay, because Indians don't like foreign foods. So you will always get Indian food. You will get Indian people in every country wherever you go. So this is our diaspora. And once they make a money, obviously what they will do, they will send it to their family members, those who are residing in India. So population is not always detrimental if you use it judiciously. So that's why to use our population judiciously, what we are doing, we have introduced Skill India program, Make in India program. Okay. Now we are giving certificates to people. We have started many online courses. Okay. Swayam portal. So what we are trying to do with this policy is that we should be able to use our population in more productive ways. We are trying to make them a more diversified. Okay, enter into a different segment. Make sure you will be leader of that segment. Okay, this is what India is now trying. Second way, we have said poverty leads to population. How come poverty leads to high population? When we already have a poverty, when we are already not able to feed our family members, how come that family will go for a higher number of children? First reason, they don't have access to health, education or health. Okay, first take a health. Since they don't have access to health, what they think, like most of the time in these families, they get into vicious cycle of disease. Okay, since they are staying in a slum, they are using common toilets. There is no hygiene water. There is no hygiene at toilets. Normally, they have a lesser space to live. They get more sick, or they fall sick frequently. Obviously, that requires a health treatment or that requires money, and they don't have that money. So what happens most of the time, they like whatever number of children they have, they will not survive for a long time. So what they think, like, if I have a five children, six children, at least three will survive, at least two will survive. So what they do, they go for a higher population. This is one reason. Second reason is education. Since they don't have education and they know anyhow, I will not be able to give a better education to my children, and they are going to enter into manual work, like unorganized sector where I am working, or my father have worked. So anyhow, if they are going to work in a manual industry, they are going to do a manual job. If one person is making a 200 rupees per day, if I have a four child, then four children plus mother father. So with six people will go to market and will make a 1200 rupees. These six people will go to market and will bring 1200 rupees. So more the hand, more will the income. If I have only two children, then four people will go into market and will bring only 800 rupees. So which is more, 800 or 400? So obviously they will go for more number of children. Okay, so this is how poverty leads to more population. But somebody who is educated, who is having a better economic status, what they will think? Instead of having two children, I will have only one. But I will ensure that I will provide him a better education or her better education. I will provide her better health facility. Since she will get everything best of the best. Since I have only one child, so if I have best resources for her, obviously she will get a better education. If she gets a better education, obviously she will get a better employment, and her life will be settled. Now there is a six pocket theory. Since we have discussed this population, we'll give you one recent theory which is emerging now. That is six pocket theory. What is six pocket theory? Every person is not having a one child. Every person now, most of the time, in urban area, they are going for one child policy. Okay, irrespective of whether it's a daughter or son. Now, gone those days when people were having five children, six children, until and unless they have a one son. Okay, so now people are going for a one child, whether it's a daughter or son. So nowadays, those industries are flourishing, which are surrounded around children. Okay, maybe children garment or a career or sport item or whatever, like toys, whatever you are creating or developing, education, whatever you are spending or whatever industry you have, which surrounds around children. Those industries are flourishing. Why those industries are flourishing? Because there is a six pocket theory. Mother and father both are working. They have only one child. Okay, suppose it's a son. There is another family. Mother and father, they both are working and they have one daughter. Okay, and obviously they will go for a marriage. Like son and daughter will get a marriage. So now immediate parent, mother and father will spend money on them. Okay, plus dadaji and nanaji, like father's mother and father and mother's father and mother, they are also making money and they also have now only one grandson or one granddaughter. So they will also spend on that child. So there are six-person who are spending on one child. A six-person income they are spending on one child. So that's why nowadays you will find most of the industries which are surrounded around children, they are flourishing. Okay. This is a recent theory which is yet to be tested, but most of the time it is emerging as a working industry. This is something which is working for most of the newly emerging businesses. Okay, so this is about India's population. India's population is at a time it is converting India into a disaster. At the same time, India's population has a potential. Of like it's already doing like in terms of remittance. India's population is actually bringing a lot of foreign currency and economic activity to India. So what we have to do now, or what the country is trying to do, who were not having a marginal productivity, or those not contributing towards GDP in a productive way, let them make a productive use of the society. Or how can we make them productive in the society? Creating new employment. And how can we create a new employment? By promoting manufacturing and service industry. And to make sure that those people who are working in the primary industry, how can we shift them into secondary and tertiary industry by providing the skills? Because in a service industry and manufacturing industry, you require a lot of skills. Okay, a skill portfolio. So government is trying to give you more skills so that you will be able to enter into secondary and tertiary industry. Okay, Make in India program, a FAME program, okay, AI program, artificial intelligence, making of robotics. These are the things which actually creating or giving impetus to secondary or tertiary industry. Once you have impetus, once you have a growth in secondary and tertiary industry, obviously they require more employees. Okay, they will hire more people. Once they will hire more employee will get a salary. Since more employee will get a salary, they will go into market and they will spend money into market. Once they start spending into money into market, there will be higher demand for goods. Since there will be higher demand for goods, there will be higher production. Once there is a higher production, again they will go for more employment. So India will come out of that low equilibrium trap or low economic trap, and India will enter into a bracket of developed nation from developed nation. Okay, so this is how we have tried, like whatever our hindrances were, can we convert them into assets? So this is what we have discussed about the population. In fact, population is huge topic. We can spend at least 7 to 8 hours on population topic. But this is just for the sake of understanding what is India's status, what is population, what India is trying to do with this population, why we are talking about Skill India program, why we are talking about converting demographic disaster to demographic dividend, how we are trying to compete with China, why by 2021 we are going to surpass China in terms of population, how we are going to do that, or why India is not controlling its population, or why India don't have a one-child policy, which many countries have already adopted in history. Why India is not uh, having or curbing a population growth. See, you can see like even today we don't have any noticeable control on population. Why we don't have that? Because India is not looking for or India is not intending for reducing our population growth because we think our population is our asset. So irrespective of what your population we have, we will be able to give employment to everyone. Like Niti Aayog chairman said, recently Niti Aayog chairman said uh, that world India can be become a garage. India can become a garage to 30% of the world's AI industry. That is artificial intelligence. Okay. Now every industry is employing robotics, going for artificial intelligence. Even in a family, we have a IoT technique. Okay, IoT, Internet of Things. Again, if you are not aware about this, go and search about these things. These are emerging technologies, and it has a like huge impact. Okay, by phone you are saying to your refrigerator to cool down or to increase or decrease its temperature. Through telephone you are controlling your light system. You are saying like it's a daytime and you don't require this intensity of light and you are controlling your light system. So this is Internet of Things where each thing is connected with other through internet. So this is called Internet of Things. Like you're driving your car and through your phone you have control that I forgot to shut off my AC and you just shut off your AC through your phone. So this is something which we call Internet of Things, where things are related with each other through the internet. Those who are from IT background, they will understand what I mean by IoT. Or those who don't know what is IoT, please go and search because it is very 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 important and emerging term in the market now. So next, unemployment rate. Again, there is a difference between unemployment and underemployment. I think I have discussed the difference between unemployment and underemployment. But if I am not, then I will just quickly revise it. Unemployed rate means there is somebody who is looking for a job. Okay, he is searching for a job or she is searching for a job, but they are not getting job. That is unemployment. There is complete lack of job to person. That is what unemployment. Okay, if somebody is suppose somebody is preparing for a government exam. Suppose somebody is preparing for government exam. Obviously, he don't have any salary. He is preparing from his parents' salary. Okay, so can we call that person as unemployed? If somebody is preparing for government exam and he is not going for any job, okay, and he is sitting at home and he is preparing for his exam, can we call that person as an unemployed person? No, we cannot call that person as an unemployed person because that person is not looking for a job. That person is not looking for a job, so that's why we can't call that person as an unemployed person. There are many women who are educated, okay, and they have a capability to work, but since there are social condition, patriarchal society, the family responsibilities on that particular woman. So even after being like having education, after being an educated woman, she will not look for she will not look for employment. So that's why she is not called unemployed. Okay, so unemployed only those people, those who are looking for employment, those who are searching for employment, but they are not getting. So India's unemployment rate is very low, like what we think like there are many people who are unemployed, but India's unemployment rate is very low, that is only 5 to 7%. Okay, but now pandemic that has increased, which you can see here. Okay, India's unemployment rate like in May 21 is showing around 11 12%. But this is temporary. This is temporary. Once we have once we open our economy, that will again come back to 7 8% max to max. Okay, but what is India's real problem? What is India's real problem is underemployment. India's problem is not about unemployment, but it is underemployment. So unemployment we have discussed. Person who is looking for a job, person is looking for a job, but he or she is not getting a job. That person will count into unemployment. But that person is called unemployed person. But there are many people who are doing jobs, but still they are counted into underemployment. So underemployment means suppose you are an MBA student. You are an MBA student. Obviously, what do you expect? You expect at least 40 45,000 rupees of salary from market. Okay, may not be in a first year of your joining, but after 2 years, definitely you expect 50,000 rupees of salary. But suppose, but suppose there are people who are not getting, even after 2 years, they are not getting a 50,000 rupees salary, or maybe they are getting a 30 or 35,000 rupees salary. So what this means, you are underemployed. Suppose you deserve a 50,000 rupees salary, but you are getting a 30,000 rupees salary. So this means underemployment. Okay, you are not getting a job of your capability. Okay, or like a best example, like this was something when I read about it. When we went into the permanent memory. Okay, there was opening of a sweeper job in a Madhya Pradesh, some municipal corporation. There was a job for sweeper job. So just because it's a government job, okay, there were 25 people applied. Those were PhD students. Okay, there were like I don't know how many vacancies were there, but there were 25 applications received. Those were PhD students. Okay, so this is a perfect example of underemployment. And what is impact of unemployment or underemployment on a woman, especially on a woman? What they do, they normally follow, or even a male, they follow wait and watch policy. So suppose they go for a job, searching for a job, what they will do? Obviously, they have some expectation, like maybe I need at least 20, 25,000 as a starting salary. So, but suppose that employer has offered them 15,000, 17,000. So what they will do? They will not accept it because sir, I'm expecting at least 25,000. So 15,000 will not go. Okay. So she will go to another interview. Same thing will happen. And going ahead, she will start waiting for that same like time when she will get 25,000. So obviously she won't get that salary. Most of the time she don't get that salary. Since she don't get a salary, what she will do? She will get into marriage. And once she will get into marriage, and obviously she get into that vicious cycle of children and taking care of her children. Okay, there is schooling, taking care of elderly people, sasur, father-in-law, or mother-in-law. So she get into that, and ultimately after she has a gap of 3 year, 4 year, then obviously she will not even get that 50,000. In fact, she will not even get a call for interview. So this is impact of underemployment that led to many deserving candidates, or many, especially in terms of another gender, that is woman. There are most of the women those can turn into productive source, but since they are underemployed, or they are not getting a salary which they are expecting as per their education, they choose to remain unemployed. They choose to remain unemployed. In fact, they are not into getting categorized into unemployed, because now they are not looking for a job. Now they are not searching for a job. They are happy with whatever they are doing, or they are happy with their family. Okay, so they never look for a job, and they are not getting counted to underemployment, and they are not either underemployment. So this is about unemployment and underemployment rate. So again, to overcome this, like we have just discussed, government is trying or asking, don't be a job seeker, be a job giver. So start industry, should employ some of your friends, or you should employ some of the unemployed people. Okay. Only with this thing we can overcome the unemployment rate. Okay. There was a magazine. I forgot the name of magazine which had a topic. India's unemployed growth. Okay. Though we are achieving a double-digit growth rate, okay, a fastest economic growth, but still India's unemployment rate is also very high. India's unemployment rate is also very high. Underemployment is huge. Okay. So that means there are only a few people who are making money, whereas the rest of the people are not able to make a good amount of money. So this is a brief about unemployment. Right? In next lecture, we will see inflation. We will talk about budget, like how to read the budget, how to understand budget, and RBI policy, and some more.